Hey, it's Lazy Gamer, and today's video is about the keyboard I modded and lubed for my little brother's Christmas present. As you can see, it's the Womier K66. Yeah, I probably said that right. Anyway, I got it from Amazon. You can see Womier is on the box. Packaging is very nice. The keyboard I chose is going to have the red switches option, but it does come with other switches, I believe, blues and browns as well. Regardless, you can see it's going to have the instructions right in the front, which are pretty simple. There's only a couple hotkeys for changing like the LEDs, functions between RGB and solid colors and different patterns. You can look at another video, and I'll have some in the description that I recommend to watch for a full tutorial. Otherwise, you can see the box comes with a nice USB wire, that's a white one to match, along with a brush and a switch puller and a keycap puller. I do not recommend you use either of those pullers. You can use the brush, but not the pullers. They will damage switches and degrade over time. Anyway, moving on to disassembling the switch. You can see here I have a switch disassembling tool. It's pretty simple. You just put the switch and align it correctly and push it down, and then you just remove the housing, the stem, the spring, and then the bottom housing. As you can see on the switch tool, there's 4 little legs. You just need to have those legs line up with the bottom of the switch housing for a Cherry MX switch, and it'll go right into place. Regarding the lubing, here we go. You can see I have some Krytox 2050 lube that I'm just applying a little bit on my little paintbrush here, and I have the switch stem in my left hand. I hold the switch stems like this, where my thumb and index finger, or is this pointer finger? Anyway, thumb and this finger hold it from top and bottom, and then I gently just start lubing all the sides of the switches. On this point of the switch, there's these 2 legs, and if you have linear switches, you do want to lube those little legs on the face of them, because that's the part that touches like the metal leaf part of the switch, and so that makes it a lot more smoother and reduces noise. And then on both sides, there's like these additional square pieces of plastic that kind of guides the stem up and down with the housing, and so those pieces of plastic touch, so you do want to lube those. And then on the back side, where it's just like a big, kind of describe it like a house shape, but you just lube that real quick as well. And it's just a thin layer. You don't need to re-lube at all for each component. You can just do the whole thing one time. You do not need to re-lube the brush. So in this case, I applied a good amount of lube to the brush, so I'm not going to re-lube just yet. I'm going to go ahead and be able to lube the spring and the leaf. Or not the leaf, I'm sorry, the stem. And with the spring, you just go up and down, left to right, real quickly, just to make sure each little coil of the spring is lubed along with the top and bottom, since those are the pieces that do bottom out, and it causes that spring noise you hear if you ever have a switch off the housing, or I'm sorry, the switch off the keyboard, and you just put it up to your ear, you can hear that. So anyway, that reduces that. Okay, at this point I'm going to re-lube my brush, and I'm going to start lubing the bottom housing, and you can see there's going to be these 2 rectangles on the north and south side of the housing. That is where the stem has kind of goes up and down, and it guides it. So you're gonna want to lube that a little bit thoroughly. This way you can make sure you get the inside corners of that like rectangle housing, because that is going to reduce the noise a lot, and it's going to make the switch feel a lot better. You can also lube the center cylinder portion. That's where the spring sits, and so that'll help reduce any spring noise as well. Typically I actually skip that, just 2 parts to save lube, and also it's a little bit faster. I have a friend that also he got me into lubing switches and mechanical switches, and he recommends that you can kind of skip that part of the stage. Anyway, this next part here, it is showing you a little guide how to align the switch back up. This way it assembles correctly. So on Gateron switches, the plus symbols actually have an engraving on it, and that engraving actually is going to face the actual Gateron text on the top of the housing, which is the back part of the switch. So if you ever are questioning if you're assembling it correctly, just make sure you align those notches together, and you'll see right here. So the switch stem will go on top of the spring, and the legs will face the metal leaf, and then that causes the notch on the stem to face the south portion of the switch, which is where the Gateron text is, and then it snaps into place. And you know you have a good connection when all 4 sides of the top housing are completely flat and flush against the bottom housing. And that's how you lube your switches. You pretty much do that times 60 or whatever, how many switches you got, and just reassemble them, put it back on the keyboard, and that's it. You're going to notice the sound difference and a feel difference, whether it's a linear switch or a tactile switch or even a clicky switch. It's a couple notes to mention. If you have tactile switches, it's typically like Gateron Browns. I believe Gateron's. I can't remember the other ones. If you have a tactile switch, you do not want to lube the little arms on the stems like I showed you on the red switch, because it's the linear you can do that, but tactile you do not. You'll actually lose the tactility feeling of the switch if you were to do that. Okay, so whenever I lube all my switches, I do them all at the same time. So I lube all the springs at the same time, all the stems at the same time, all the housings at the same time, and I put them in like little different containers, and then when they're all done, I then assemble them all at the same time. And that's how I like to do it. Some people have like a switch luber station, and so they do each component one at a time and assemble the switch when it's done. It's just a preference thing. Another note is for springs, there is a method called the bag method. It does significantly cut lubing down for the spring. It's a lot quicker to lube springs with the bag method than without the bag method. Okay, I haven't done it myself yet. I don't have the right lube, or I don't have the right lube that I would want to use for the bag method. But look into it, guys. Okay, if you want to cut your lubing down a little bit, do the bag method. It does coat all the springs evenly. It just makes sense. Okay, so I do not show modding the stabilizers on this video. I just didn't have time to record it. But I will link videos showing how to mod your stabilizers. I do recommend it on every keyboard. It's going to get rid of the rattling stabilizing. It's going to get rid of the rattling noise on the spacebar, along with like the shift key, the backspace key, any of the keys that use stabilizers. Okay, it makes the keyboard sound so much nicer. You hear the talkiness of the keyboard more. I do recommend it. For the Womier K66 board, you will need to bandaid mod the stabilizers as well, because they do rattle. And the videos I link will show that as well. A good method for doing that. But it's pretty simple. Okay, so I did have fun. I noticed that I do like this hobby. It is time consuming if you're gonna lube switches, but you could buy them pre-lubed by somebody else. You can go like on eBay or different websites. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Please enjoy these sound tests. Following this part of the video, it's going to show the switch without any keycaps installed, then with keycaps installed, and then finally install it onto the keyboard, how it sounds side by side differently, and then also a normal typing test. Before I lubed them, I did record a little bit typing, and then after I lubed everything and mod all the stabilizers, so you can see the difference. Hope you guys have a great, happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, whatever holiday, dude, Easter. Okay, even if you don't celebrate any holidays, hope you have a great day, guys. Anyway, bye bye.